Crime scene reconstruction. Technically, when you do your project for this term, your diorama is sort of a crime scene reconstruction, not as sophisticated that we're talking about here, but as far as a learning process, it should help you in understanding crime scenes. So some of the information from this crime scene reconstruction chapter may assist you in that project. The method used to support a sequence of events by observation, evaluation of physical evidence, as well as statements made by those involved with the incident, is referred to as crime scene reconstruction. Crime scene reconstruction relies on combined efforts of the medical examiners or coroners, criminalists. Criminalists are people that work in the laboratory or as the field of crime scene evidence collectors, law enforcement personnel, detectives, to recover physical evidence and to sort out events surrounding the occurrence of a crime. Objectivity, which is a very important characteristic that a person assigned to working crime scenes should have. It is the professional detachment practiced by individuals to avoid letting personal beliefs or biases affect their conclusions reached through observations. Expectations or biases can have a negative effect on the process of reconstruction by leading to incorrect analysis or interpretation of information provided by the evidence. The evidence tells you what happened. For this reason, all data and evidence is continually reevaluated. Several individuals analyze the evidence and present independent interpretations. The process of reasoning. There's several types of reasoning. Deductive reasoning is used when a given fact or finding leads to a definite conclusion. Talked earlier in the course about the fictional detective Sherlock Holmes, and he based his conclusions on deductive reasoning. Inductive reasoning is used when a given fact or finding leads to a conclusion that is probable but not definitive. In this case, there are also other probable conclusions. Falsibility. It's a theory used when investigators test the theory to determine if it can be proven false by the physical evidence. Falsibility is a significant issue in all types of research. Back in my psychology courses, you're proving that one of the things you have to do is prove that the theory of falsibility regarding the research, the subject of the research. Limitations to reconstruction. Generalizing about aspects of evidence can be both helpful and harmful. False linkage occurs when an investigator assumes a link between two or more objects of evidence. The information available to make crime scene reconstruction theories is often much less than needed to create a full timeline of events. Reconstruction relies on information from toxicology tests, autopsies, interviews and interrogations, and many sources which may not be available for days, weeks, months, or sometimes years after the incident. You can imagine like cold case investigations, trying to reconstruct it after going back and relocating witnesses or finding additional witnesses, new evidence testing techniques, all those types of issues. Crime scene reconstruction team. Reconstruction is a team effort that involves putting together many pieces of a puzzle, putting together a jigsaw puzzle. The team as a whole works to answer the typical who, what, where, when, and how of a crime scene. That's a basic questions you have to answer during a criminal investigation. Attempting to answer the why question by contemplating a perpetrator's inner motivations may bias the investigator's observations. People have many different motives for the commission of a crime. Sometimes those motives do not make sense to the normal person. A lot of time until you can sit down and talk with a suspect, you may not know the real motivation behind a crime. Crime scene reconstruction relies on the combined efforts and expertise of the medical examiner, the criminalist technicians, and experts in various specialized fields. Role of physical evidence in crime scene reconstruction. The physical evidence left behind at a scene plays a crucial role in reconstructing the evidence that took place surrounding the crime. And just as a point of order, remember Locard's principle of exchange. Although the evidence alone does not describe everything that happened, it can support or contradict accounts given by witnesses or suspects. Human memory is not perfect, and it's based on perceptions, experience, age, eyesight, hearing ability. So we know we can get different versions of the same actions from different witnesses. Information obtained from physical evidence can also generate leads and confirm the reconstruction of a crime to a jury or to a judge. The collection and documentation of physical evidence is the foundation of a reconstruction. The more skillful you are at collecting evidence, photographing the crime scene, and drawing your rough sketch and your final drawing, whether it's by hand or by computer, can play a vital part of any attempts at reconstructing a crime scene. Direct physical evidence from a crime scene provides a definite conclusion or direction through the use of deductive reasoning to state a fact that can be understood by everyone. Fingerprints, latent fingerprints located on a scene that's identified to a specific person. Blood evidence that identifies the blood to a specific person through DNA analysis. Those are the types of issues we're talking about, although it's not just limited to fingerprints and blood. Circumstantial evidence from a crime scene provides a lead, but no definite conclusion through the use of inductive reasoning to identify many possible causes for the state of the evidence. Testimonial evidence from eyewitness accounts should be very carefully scrutinized because it is highly subjective and heavily biased. Therefore, crime scene reconstruction should only include testimonial evidence that is corroborated by aspects of physical evidence. Reenactments. A reenactment of events at a crime scene can show if a theory of how an event occurred is physically possible and if physical evidence is consistent with that theory. A reenactment can be carried out by live personnel, the use of mannequins, or computer-generated models. Chain of custody, another very important term that we've talked about. Evidence without a confirmed chain of custody cannot and should not be included in reconstruction. And the reason for that, if you cannot prove your chain of custody, it will not be allowed to. That evidence will not be allowed to be presented in the courtroom. A missing link in the chain of custody of an item means it was unaccounted for a period of time during which it could have been tampered with, contaminated, or damaged. If there is any question as to the legality or the authenticity of testimonial evidence, it cannot and should not be included in reconstruction. Assessment of evidence. Each item of evidence should be analyzed and tested separately from all other evidence without falsely linking items of evidence during the initial phase of the investigation. Once all possible information has been recovered from each item, the information can be coupled with that from other items to observe whether or not separate items of evidence make sense together or verify an event. Forming reconstruction theories. The final steps of crime scene reconstruction require the reconstruction team to bring together all evidence and information to form plausible theories and a plausible sequence of individual events. The right connections have to be made among all parts involved so as to portray the relationship among the victim, the suspect, and the crime scene. All available information and evidence must fit into the overall picture. Crime event timelines. An event timeline will define each event or moment that occurred at a crime scene in various probable orders within a known or estimated time frame. The evidence that signifies the start or end of evidence at a crime scene can give a clue as to the missing events that must fit in the middle. Once the various orders have been identified, each sequence should be tested against the evidence. If successful, reconstruction can play a vital role in aiding a jury to arrive at an appropriate verdict.